Picture this. You're standing at the edge of a small tropical island, barefoot in the sand, a salty breeze brushing your cheeks, and the rhythmic tap of palm leaves whispering secrets above you. You've got a canoe tied up at the dock. The water is calm, but it's wide. Beyond you is the safety of a hammock and a chilled drink. Ahead of you, there's possibility, mystery, the kind of morning where the horizon feels like an invitation.
You could stay put. You've survived storms, buried anchors, and learned a thing or two about the tides. But something in you stirs. It's not about being restless. It's about remembering you're still meant to move, to paddle, to risk. Because courage in this season of life isn't about chasing thrills. It's about honoring the part of you that refuses to go dormant.
Welcome to the Latitude Adjustment, an Aging Heroes podcast, where midlife isn't a crisis, it's a call to adventure. Hosted by Randolph and Erica Harrison, this is your unapologetic permission slip to live bold, barefoot, and wildly beyond the script. Randolph is a Gallup-certified strengths coach and award-winning college educator who believes the second half of life is where the real story begins. Erica is a globe-trotting wellness guide and Jungian life coach who once ran the Mount Kilimanjaro Marathon, because of course she did. Together, they're here to help you bust myths about aging, share fierce stories of transformation, and challenge you to rise, rewire, and reclaim your own wild path forward. So kick off your shoes, pour something strong. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement. Your day one starts now.
Welcome, amigos. You're listening to the Latitude Adjustment. I'm Erica.
And I'm Rusty.
Hey, Rusty.
And today we're cracking open one of our favorite chapters from A Guide for Aging Heroes. Day 5, Live Courageously.
This isn't about skydiving or going off-grid. It's about those moments when fear doesn't show up with fangs. It shows up wearing khakis. It's saying something like, maybe next year, or you've missed your shot.
Right. It's not the monster under the bed. It's the voice saying, you're too old, you're too tired, or even just play it safe.
So today we want to take you to a small island. It's Isla Colón in Panama. There's a little bay there called Saigon Bay, Bocas del Toro. And one Tuesday morning, we witnessed something that stopped us in our tracks.
It was an elderly indigenous man and his grandson paddling a dugout canoe across the water. No motor, no music, just wood, water, and willpower. The rain was pouring down. The canoe was filled with fruits, fish, and vegetables they'd harvested or traded the day before. Their route, house to house, water to doorstep.
Yeah.
Selling to families who live in over-the-water homes.
It was the coolest thing. I remember standing in our open-air kitchen. I had my coffee in hand. The rain was just showering down over the mangroves. You could still hear every dip of that hand-carved paddle like a heartbeat. No rush, just presence.
I thought to myself, this is courage. Not loud, not flashy, but consistent and purposeful.
Purposeful, yes.
That elderly man could have stopped years ago.
Sure.
But there he was, teaching his grandson how to live with his hands, his back, and his honor.
Even when the wind picked up, even when the rain hammered down, he didn't turn back. He just adjusted his stroke. And that's what bravery looks like when it's seasoned. Not dramatic, just steady.
So let's pause for a quick teaching moment.
I love a teaching moment from a teacher.
All right, so here's what we know from psychology. Fear isn't a weakness. It's a signal. It lives in the amygdala, that tiny almond-shaped part of your brain wired for survival. It's trying to protect you from danger, but here's the twist. Your brain doesn't know the difference between an angry bear and an uncomfortable email.
Damn brain.
It can't differentiate between a real threat and emotional vulnerability.
And that's where courage comes in. It's not about shutting fear down. It's about moving forward while fear rides shotgun.
Exactly. Courage activates a different part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex. That's the seat of decision-making and meaning. So when you take a step towards something that matters, even while you're scared, your brain begins to rewire. You're literally training yourself to become braver.
Note to self, operate from my prefrontal
Frontal
cortex. So if you feel fear, it means you're alive. And if you act anyway, that's courage in motion.
It reminded me, living courageously doesn't mean you aren't scared. It means you keep showing up anyway.
That's so important.
And not just for the big dreams, for the small ones too. The everyday ones that make your life more yours.
Maybe for you, it's going to be picking up the guitar again, or calling someone you haven't spoken to since the world turned upside down. Maybe it's starting therapy or ending a relationship, or telling the truth about what you really want next.
Maybe it's putting your name in the hat for something that lights your soul on fire, even if you're not sure you'll get picked.
Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's just a quiet, shaky yes to your own damn life.
We've had to find our way back to courage too.
Once or twice or 10 times.
There were times we stalled out, got stuck in roles or routines that felt more like cages than callings.
Absolutely.
And it didn't take a crisis to shift it, just a whisper of dissatisfaction.
And when we followed that whisper, even with uncertainty, life cracked open. The map got blurry, but the wind, it came back. And with it, forward movement.
Look, we're not saying this is easy, but what's the alternative? Numbness, regret, watching someone else live the life that once had your name on it?
No, that's not you. You're not done. You're not irrelevant. You're not out of time.
Aging Heroes Challenge number 1. Think of something you let go of, not because it stopped mattering, but because fear got too loud. A dream, a practice, a version of yourself. Now ask, is it time to try again?
And don't overthink it. Don't wait until you're ready. Ready is a myth, remember? Courage is a decision. So this week, take one tiny step. Look it up, sign up, send the message, just whisper that sacred yes.
All right, let's do a segment 1 recap.
We traded in the idea of adrenaline-fueled bravery for something deeper, intentional courage, the kind that shows up with age, wisdom, and grit.
We talked about the canoe man and his grandson in Bocas del Toro.
Yeah.
How consistent effort and showing up when it's hard is a form of everyday heroism.
We named the quiet fears that keep us small and reminded you that movement doesn't need to be big to be brave. We covered the psychology of fear and courage.
And we left you with a challenge. Reclaim one thing fear talked you out of, because fear may be the guard at the gate, but courage still holds the keys.
Coming up next in segment 2, we'll unpack what everyday courage really looks like in your planner, in the mirror, and in the thousands of choices we make when no one's watching.
So stick around. We'll be right back.
All right, heroes, let's chat about the kind of courage that doesn't need fireworks. Not the movie montage, not the big cinematic triumph. We're talking everyday courage, the kind you carry into work, into conversations, into your own mirror.
Courage doesn't just show up in burning buildings. It shows up in boundary setting, in asking for what you want.
I love to set a boundary.
In trying something new at 63 when everyone told you it was too late.
Or simply choosing to not abandon yourself today. Courage doesn't have to look epic. It just has to look true.
This is what we share with everyone. Courage isn't a trait, it's a muscle. You train it in small reps every day.
like saying no without explaining yourself, or walking into a new room with your head held high, even when you feel invisible. It's walking your own walk, even when nobody else sees it.
Every time you choose honesty over comfort, your courage muscle grows.
Woo, so flex that muscle.
Think about it. Every time you show up as you are, not who people expect you to be, you're flexing that bravery.
That's why I love photographing retreats. It's not about curated perfection. It's about people showing up afraid, but they do it anyway.
Yeah.
You can feel it when someone is choosing truth. The camera doesn't lie. You see the before and after on their face. You see the moment they stop trying to be likable and they just simply let go and are free.
That moment right there, that's the magic.
Agreed.
That's courage with bare feet and a full heart.
Absolutely.
Fear is a liar.
It's a liar.
And a good one. Fear's job is to keep you safe. And boy, is it convincing. It dresses up in logic, rolls in sounding responsible, and makes a hell of an argument for staying in your comfort zone.
Have you ever heard it whisper, "You might fail"? Or how about this one? "You're not good enough." But it doesn't tell you the real risk. That's staying stuck.
Right. Exactly. Playing small feels safe, but it's a slow kind of dying. No adventure, no growth, just loops and regrets.
Do you want to know the secret?
I want to know the secret.
Fear shows up most when you're standing at the edge of something sacred. It's not a stop sign. It's a signal. This matters.
Right. That's why our book, A Guide for Aging Heroes, talks so much about meaning over fear. You don't need to destroy fear. You need to walk past it with your purpose in hand.
Risk is the currency of a life well lived. Let's go deeper. Why do we resist risk so much, Rusty? Why?
Because we've been taught that stability is the goal.
Ooh, you said social conformity.
It is. It really is. We've been taught that comfort equals success, but comfort isn't the same as fulfillment. It's just a soft chair in a room with no windows.
But what if the biggest risk is never taking one?
Exactly. I've sat with so many people, especially later in life, who were haunted not by what they did, but by what they didn't do.
Ooh.
The unspoken dream, the unopened door, the what if that became a silent ache.
Yeah, I've heard that over and over. I've seen it too in working in the healthcare field, just in passing conversations even. It's not the mess that breaks us. It's the silence around what we could have dared.
I love that. So what if we stop protecting ourselves from the wrong things? Failure is survivable. Regret is terminal.
Let's talk about the big bad wolf in the room. Do you want to know its name?
I sure would.
Failure. Because so many of us don't chase courage. Why? Because we're scared to mess up.
But failure is just proof that you tried. It's not a death sentence. It's a signpost. Ask Thomas Edison, who famously said regarding inventing the light bulb, "I didn't fail. I discovered 10,000 ways that don't work."
I'm going to write that on my bathroom mirror.
Ask literally any person who ever did something worth remembering.
You failed before and you're still here. You're braver than you think. And failure, it's not the end. It's part of your becoming.
I tell my students, if you're not failing sometimes, you're not stretching far enough. Failure means you're alive and evolving. It means you give a damn.
How about some quick fire real life courage?
All right, let's hear it.
Here's what everyday courage can look like. Leaving the job that's draining your spirit. Telling your truth to someone who may not like it. Starting something new at 60, 70, or 80 just because it matters to you. Apologizing first. trying again, especially after disappointment, saying no to something that doesn't deserve your peace.
You don't have to burn it all down.
Although that might feel nice.
You just have to light one damn candle, one truth, one decision, one step.
That's what bravery looks like when it lives in your real life. It's not going to be Instagrammable. It's not flashy, but it's holy.
Okay, let's do Aging Heroes challenge number 2. Think of one thing fear has been keeping you from. Not a fantasy, something real, something important. Now take one small, courageous step toward it.
Sign up, make the call, have the conversation, show up anyway. Don't wait until you're ready. Do it because you're ready to stop waiting.
Nice. Segment 2, recap.
Let's recap it.
Courage is a daily practice, not a personality trait. Fear will lie to you again and again.
That's the truth.
Risk is required for a regret-proof life. Failure is not the enemy, avoidance is. Small acts of bravery add up to a bold life.
And you don't have to be epic. You just have to be brave enough to try. Coming up next in segment 3, the quiet power of letting go.
Yeah, in segment 3, we're going even deeper. The quiet power of surrender. Why letting go can be braver than holding on.
And how aging heroes become spiritual warriors, not by fighting harder, but by releasing what no longer serves.
So don't go anywhere. The battle may be daily, but you don't have to fight it alone. Imagine a forest path just after a thunderstorm. The air is thick with the smell of pine and rain. Everything feels hushed, like the world is holding its breath. You stand there, soaked, carrying a backpack that's heavier than you remember. You're not sure why you brought half the stuff in it, but ahead, there's sunlight filtering through the canopy, and all that stands between you and it is letting go.
We don't talk about that kind of bravery enough, do we?
We don't.
The kind that steps off the battlefield and says, I don't need to win. I need to be whole.
I like that.
Yeah, not louder, not faster, just more honest.
There is a Zen master quote that I love.
What is it?
Sometimes sitting and doing nothing is the best action you can take. It sounds simple, but in a culture obsessed with hustle and performance, stillness is rebellion.
That takes a lot of work and intention. Stillness forces you to feel. It strips away distractions. It whispers truths that action can drown out. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is pause.
Sometimes we choose to fight just to avoid the quiet, the work, the mirror. We armor up with busyness so we don't have to hear what's going on underneath.
But the people who pause long enough to listen, they often find clarity, direction, healing. Stillness isn't laziness, it's precision.
We've both seen this. People think surrender means giving up, but surrender can be strategic.
Yes.
It says, this no longer serves me, and I don't need to carry it anymore.
Surrender is often the gateway to individuation. It's the letting go of old roles, old masks, false selves, and yes, it can be painful, but it's also very freeing.
In my therapist days, I saw people stay in marriages, jobs, and identities out of fear because surrender felt like failure.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It was the beginning of something real.
That's the phoenix moment. The ashes don't lie. You burn what you no longer need and you rise a bit lighter.
Yes, not because you're empty, because you finally made room for what matters. Let's be clear. Surrender isn't the absence of fire. It's just a different kind of flame. focused, clear, and controlled.
It's the moment you stop swinging the sword and start wielding your soul instead. Surrender doesn't mean you lost the battle. It means you changed the battlefield.
And that's a different kind of power.
It is.
It doesn't demand attention, but it commands respect.
I like that. I think of surrender like pruning a tree. It looks like loss, but what you're really doing is making space for new growth.
Right.
One of the bravest things you can do, that's let people see you. Let them help. Let them love the messy, growing parts of you.
Yeah, I used to believe I had to be the strong one all the time, especially in the classroom or in therapy, in my own family. But hiding my struggle didn't make me strong. It made me lonely.
So the lone wolf story, share that.
Okay, the lone wolf story is this myth that it's heroic and noble to be this lone warrior fighting the world alone.
So we're saying it's busted, right?
It's busted. It's really extremely unhealthy. Human beings are not wired for that.
Yeah, we're not meant to do this alone. Connection, that's courage.
Letting someone hold your truth with you is an act of bravery. It's not weakness to be witnessed. It's wisdom.
And when you let others see your pain, your hope, your becoming, they might just show up with theirs too. That's community. That's healing. There's another kind of courage that never gets enough credit. Stopping the fight that's draining you. Stopping the pattern that's numbing you. Stopping the noise so you can hear yourself again.
Stopping isn't quitting. Stopping is choosing a different way forward. And sometimes it's the only way forward.
Stopping might mean resting, ending, detaching, but never giving up on yourself.
Sometimes stopping looks like saying, I'm not okay. Sometimes it looks like canceling the meeting and going outside instead.
Sure.
Sometimes it's closing a door that everyone else thinks should stay open.
And what if that scares you?
Good.
It just means you're awake.
Yeah.
Aging Heroes Challenge number 3. What are you still carrying that no longer belongs to you? This week, make a list of things you're done pretending. Done pretending you're fine. Done pretending it doesn't hurt. Done pretending you don't need to keep it all together. Pick one thing and we want you to release it. Say it out loud. Let go like your future depends on it, because it does.
Okay, let's do a segment 3 recap.
Stillness is not laziness. It's a form of listening.
Surrender is not weakness. It's sacred discernment.
Connection is courage in community.
Knowing when to stop is as brave as knowing when to charge ahead.
Coming up next, we're taking all of this and stretching it across time, because courage isn't a spark. It's a slow, steady flame.
We'll explore the long game of courage, how to stay bold without burning out, and how everyday heroes leave brave footprints for the ones who come next.
See you on the other side, brave ones.
All right, heroes, this is where it gets real.
Get real.
Not the spark of a brave beginning, not the fire of rising from failure,
Not that.
but the steady burn of living boldly, daily, intentionally, and relentlessly.
Because a courageous life isn't built on one epic moment. It's built on 1,000 tiny ones.
I love that because life is not a movie.
It's so true. Those mundane acts of bravery that no one sees, that's the courageous stuff. The choice to show up again and again, even when it's inconvenient, unglamorous, or just hard.
Right. Courage doesn't just happen. You have to practice it like a musician, like a monk, like a damn warrior. It becomes part of your rhythm, a daily song of choosing presence overprotection.
That's a key takeaway. It is, you need to be intentional about practicing.
Yes.
It's a lifestyle, not a lightning strike. It lives in your daily rituals, your voice, your boundaries, your creative fire, your rest.
Think of it like reps in a gym. You build it by doing, saying no without guilt, saying yes without permission, trying again without shame.
You build courage by telling the truth when it might be easier to tell a little lie. By sitting with discomfort instead of numbing it, by asking for help instead of white knuckling through life alone.
Every time you show up for your values, even in micro ways, you're laying bricks on the path of a bold life.
Managing fear in the moment.
What do you do when fear hijacks your brain for the moment?
Putting my tactical gear on.
When your inner critic has the mic and it's preaching doom and caution.
You interrupt the spiral. One of my favorite tools, Mel Robbins' 5-second rule. You feel the fear, count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, then act. Move before your brain talks you out of it.
It reminds me of the story of you and Talis ziplining across the rainforest in Costa Rica.
That's right. I could not believe that our daughter put on the harness, the gear, and was like, I'm going first.
Right. She jumped out, and then you had to jump out without thinking because you weren't going to let her go by herself.
That's it. And it was so outside of my comfort zone because I definitely have a fear of heights.
Another tool is reframing.
I am all about some reframing.
Fear and excitement feel exactly the same in the body. That's interesting.
Yeah.
When your palms sweat and your heart races, tell yourself, I'm not scared. I'm ready.
I'm writing that down.
I love that one.
For sure. You don't need to wait for courage to show up. Summon it. And you practice until that summoning becomes instinct.
Exactly. Now let's flip it again, because sometimes courage doesn't mean pushing harder. It means letting go.
Courage can be soft. It can be walking away from a dream that no longer serves you. It can be forgiving someone who maybe you feel like doesn't deserve it because you deserve the freedom.
Or releasing the identity that's been safe but suffocating. That job, that persona, that way of shrinking yourself to make others comfortable.
We think courage means fighting, but sometimes it means trusting. It means letting go, stepping back, believing that what comes next, that will be enough, even if you don't control it.
And here's the kicker. Courage is never just personal. It's also contagious.
Courage is never just personal. It's contagious.
Yeah. In a situation where someone is in peril and there's a large group of people, there's this bystander effect where nobody does anything.
Okay.
As soon as one person acts, everyone acts.
Yes. When you stand up, you give others permission to do the same. When you live boldly, you create a ripple effect. Your kids feel it. Your families feel it. Your friends feel it. Your community shifts.
It's one of the greatest joys of my life, watching students, clients, even strangers light up when someone finally models what it looks like to live an aligned life.
You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to go first. Be the flashlight in someone else's dark room.
Let's say it clearly. Aging takes guts, and it's not for the faint of heart.
You lose people. You face your limits. You wrestle with invisibility, and still you rise. You choose growth, depth, purpose, presence.
You shift from proving to becoming, and every courageous choice adds a new page to your legacy.
I love that. From proving to becoming. Because your courage, it's not just yours. It's a gift to every generation coming up behind you.
And make no mistake, aging heroes rewrite the rule book. You're not fading.
You're not.
You are flaming.
So fan the flame. Aging Heroes Challenge number 4. Write down one area of your life where you've been living small.
Now ask yourself, what would courage look like here? What would your future self thank you for? What are you afraid of, and what's worth being afraid of?
Now take one action, one move, big or small, but take it. Do it with your whole heart.
And trust that the leap will land you somewhere sacred.
It's time for our final recap. Courage is a practice, not a performance.
Fear isn't the enemy, it's a compass pointing to what matters.
Letting go is just as brave as holding on.
Your choices echo. Courage changes you and everyone around you.
Aging is a heroic act. Every bold step expands your story. If this episode hit your heart, if it spoke to you, share it. Text a friend, tag us, and go follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Aging Heroes. You can also find our full tribe at www.agingheroes.com.
If you're looking for a sign, this is it. This is your moment. Don't wait. Don't shrink. Don't doubt. Live courageously.
Keep your compass true, your heart open, and your feet in the wind.
We'll see you next time.